The former Minister for United Kingdom, Sir Nick Gibb, is currently in India to launch his new book, Reforming Lessons, Why English Schools Have Improved Since 2010 and How This Was Achieved. Sir Nick Gibb is one of the world's most experienced educators and also the longest-serving education ministers of United Kingdom. Times Now had an exclusive conversation with him. Listen in.
What is the most significant contribution do you think you have made to schools as well as to the education system of United Kingdom, sir?
I would say it's reading. If children can't read, then their whole education suffers from that. And what we saw in England schools before we came into office in 2010 was too many children were still struggling with that basic skill, even after 5 or 6 years in primary school. So we changed the way reading is taught using a more evidence-based approach called phonics. It's the way it used to be taught before the 1960s and 70s in England. So you teach children the alphabet, how to blend those letters into words, cat, and that's called phonics. And we essentially changed the law to require that to be the method. And we introduced a test of schools, of children aged 6, to see if the school was using phonics in teaching children to read. And as a consequence of those reforms that started in 2010, in the most recent international survey of the reading ability of 9-year-olds, we have gone up to 4th in the world of the standards of reading of 9-year-olds. So, and they attribute that rise in our score to the phonics work that we've been doing.
So you're in India to promote your book that you've been published, Reforming Lessons. Now, one of the significant aspects that are mentioned in the book, obviously you mentioned about the importance of phonics as well as mathematical mastery also. You have mentioned about those aspects. Now, coming to the education system of India as well, you've been traveling the world to understand education systems worldwide as well. How do you think that phonics as well as the other factors that you have mentioned in your book can be inculcated in the education system of India? How it can be developed in India's education system as well?
Well, these debates about how children learn to read, how they learn mathematics and arithmetic, what's in the curriculum, those debates are happening throughout the world. I've been to America, South America, Australia, New Zealand, countries in Europe, and they're all having the same debate. And children learn the same way. And we know so much more now about cognitive science, about the brain, and so on. And children throughout the world, they've all got the same brains. And so we can learn from other countries about what are the best methods, what does the evidence say is the best way to teach reading or to teach mathematics. When you get down to other issues about the fabric of schools, what we call the plumbing of schools, all those issues, they are very different from school to school. The constitutional arrangements, what ministers are responsible for, what districts, what states are responsible for, those will differ from country to country. But children, they're all the same. And what we need to make sure is that they're all educated to the best of their abilities so they can have the best opportunities in life. And the way to improve their life, the way to improve the economies of countries, is to make sure that the education system is educating those children.
So your contribution to the growth as well as the development of the school education of United Kingdom is immense. I've been traveling the entire world as well. What do you think are some of the policies or some of the strategies or methods that have been implemented or used across the world that can be used in India, according to you? Some of the policies that have impressed you, or some of the methods that have impressed you and it can be used in India, according to you?
Well, we weren't doing very well in mathematics. We were declining in those international surveys. And we looked at the countries at the top, Singapore, Hong Kong, Shanghai in China. And so we went to those countries, we looked at their curriculum, we looked at their teaching methods, and we brought those methods into our schools in England. And that's why in maths, we've gone from 27th in the world to 11th over those 10 years. So I think that, the thing to do is not just pick one country, but look around the world to see who is achieving best in the subjects that you want. And then the other big debate is about knowledge, because people say, well, why do children have to remember things? Why do they have to know stuff? You can just look it up in Google with AI. Actually, what cognitive science now says is that if you want to be a critical thinker or to be creative or to be a problem solver, you need knowledge in your long-term memory that your working memory, which is very small, can draw on. So if you want to have so that's something that the world is debating, and that's what I go around the world talking about to other ministers. We discuss these things about the importance of having a curriculum that is really rich with knowledge, rich with science, rich with the humanities, rich with literature. That's what children need if they're going to be the leaders of the future who are going to be able to solve the great problems facing our planet.